What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. This archetype kind of snuck under the radar for me. Didn't see it, but there is a new archetype that came out, and I do like to review them whenever I can. So this is called Spring Spirit. We'll just go card by card. I think there's 8 of them. I know nothing about this, so take a look here. This is a Spring Spirit of the Hill and Sprouts. Kind of a cool name. Archetype, a little like they're fairies. Big surprise. So not a lot of fairy cards out there, as far as I know. I haven't seen a lot recently, at least. The only real fairy card that I know about is the one that summons those little like normal monster bulbs, and then Ra's Disciple. I'm pretty sure is also a fairy. But in any case, you can discard one card and one monster or one Spring Spirit card. Add one Spring Spirit card from your deck to your hand, except a copy of itself. And then you can special summon one Earth monster from your graveyard. Also, you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of this turn except Earth monsters. This is a niche archetype, man. Earth is a very rare thing. Fairies are very rare. I guess, obviously, the idea is that you're discarding one of your fairies, one of your Spring Spirit monsters to bring it back. So you're not losing any advantage. In fact, you're just going +1. Oh, that's not true. You're going 0 because this card has to get discarded plus a Spring Spirit, assuming you're discarding a Spring Spirit monster, really. But that's fine, I guess. It's not the greatest searcher in the world, but I like archetypes that go around, using your normal summon because normal summons are like super important in Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously, most of the time they are, I would say, and this doesn't do that. So going 0 is fine, I think. Okay, second effect. Your Spring Spirit monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. It has a nice 2000 body, so that's always kind of a good thing. I wonder. Okay, so this is something in Yu-Gi-Oh! That, like, the game's really confusing. So if you discard this card as a count, because I know in some cases, like you can't dump something. Like I think the best example I could give is one of the virtual world monsters. When you foolish burial it brings back, a virtual world card. I think that's a long U one. Let me look it up. Now I gotta know. Because I know this interaction for sure, and I don't know if it's the same exact thing or what. I hate the database for the real one. Yeah. YGO Pro Deck definitely has the best database, especially because I put new cards on there too. Anyways, I wanted to go over this real quick because I think it's the same ruling. Virtual World, Lao Lao, because you can special summon one virtual monster in your graveyard in defense position with a different name. Oh, I see. So this one already says, but I think even still, like you can't dump something and immediately bring it back. I could be dead wrong about that, but again, that's just a first card, pretty decent. It kind of feels like ice barriers that they all have these like secondary weird effects so far, but that's just one card. This is Spring Spirit of the Forest and Awakening. Surprised they're not Beast, kinda. It feels like something that Obedience School would be there for. It does remind me of Melffy's, especially when I see like the little bear here. Level 4 Earth, so it's like rank 4 is good. It's the best level in the game. Okay, you can discard this card on one monster or one Spring Spirit card. Send one Earth monster that can be normal summoned from your deck to your graveyard. Then you can special summon one Earth monster from your graveyard with a different name to the sent monster. Also, you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except Earth monsters. You can target one Spring Spirit monster you control, double its attack. Are there any extra deck monsters just off the top? Not yet. I'm assuming there's going to be because otherwise, like, the most you're getting is 2,200. Like, that can't be the final goal, right? You can discard this card, one card. So you get the Foolish Burial, an Earth monster that can be normal summoned. See, that's pretty interesting because I wonder. There's got to be a pretty decent amount of Earth monsters. I know there's Earth machines like trains, but I can't imagine that's like the only thing. Let's see. I'm just curious to see, like, I guess how many there even are, and like what other archetypes that could potentially do. So, obviously there's going to be quite a bit. Let's see. Oh, there's 1,800 Earth monsters. Are you serious? I didn't know that. So, that could be fairly interesting. I don't think there's any like advantage of Foolish bearing like Adamancipator monsters. I don't think so, at least. But I mean, there's gotta be a lot of stuff here. I mean, aliens too, maybe something like that. So that obviously encompasses a lot more than I thought there was. But okay, that and the card's decent, of course. I mean, I'm assuming like one of these cards is good when sent to the graveyard. There's got to be at least one, right? This is Spring Spirit of the Mountain and Melting Snow. It's a level 3 Earth Fairy effect. You can only use each of the following effects of this card's one per turn. Okay, so they all have that effect. You can discard this card and one monster or one Spring Spirit card, draw one card. Then you can special summon an Earth monster from your graveyard. Also, you cannot activate monster effects except for Earth monsters. Okay, you can target a Spring Spirit monster you control. You can make up to 2 attacks during each battle phase. Again, I think that's really weird. Unless these like give them a bunch of attack, I don't know. That's kind of. But this one's okay, especially because you're gonna get a lot of. You're not losing much by discarding. Normally, it is tough, and like theoretically, are like if this gets Gamut or something, like you're in a really tough spot. You're putting yourself in very vulnerable positions with this deck, but they're not bad effects. And this last main deck monster here so far, Spring Spirit of the Flowers and Plains, level 3 Earth. So no tuners in this deck, which is kind of interesting because in my mind, I'm thinking of Naturia Beast, just off the top of my dome. Okay, you can discard this card, a spirit, or, one monster or a spirit card, add one Earth monster from your graveyard to your hand, except to copy this card. Then you can special summon a level 1 Earth monster from your graveyard. Can't activate monster effects except Earth monsters. And then this says Spring Spirit monsters you control cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. So targeting protection can make 2 attacks, double its attack, and can't be destroyed by card effects. Again, I don't know how often these are going to be on the field anyways outside. Like there really isn't like a great effect. Like when they're special summon, which is kind of unfortunate. Now it's a body, so bodies are always good. But it's pretty weird. I'm sure there's got to be a lot of Earth monsters that have effects when special summon. There just has to be. Okay, this is a continuous spell. Earth monsters you control are treated as Spring Spirit monsters. It's good for doubling the attack. Can't be targeted. Kinda. Once per turn, if you would discard cards to activate the effect, you can discard only that Spring Spirit monster instead. Why are we designing archetypes that need to be fixed? Why are we fixing the problem with the archetype with a card? I hate that. I hate archetypes that are designed like this. That just makes me think that it's not going to be good. Like, it's like, oh, it's like they sell. They create the problem and sell the solution is kind of what it feels like. That's good, but like, okay, you're not going to open this all the time, obviously. We'll see what the traps are like. This is Spring Spirit calendar change. Anytime I see a normal trap now, my mind's going to be different because of that new the Labyrinth archetype that came out, obviously. But you can target one Spring Spirit monster in your graveyard, special summon or add it to your hand. Lame. It's too slow. You can target during your opponent's turn while you have 0 cards in your hand, except the turn this card is sent to the graveyard. Oh, lame. You can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon as many Spring Spirit monsters with different names from your graveyard as possible, but return them to the hand during the end phase. What is this, an Infernity deck or something? Like, I mean, that's something that I'm thinking off the top of my head. It's kind of a good Infernity cards. I mean, how many other decks can you think of? I mean, obviously you're going to be discarding a lot here anyways, but that's the only archetype I can think of that having 0 cards in hand is a very common thing. It's almost like saying, like, hey, you can't play hand traps, which is very bad, in my opinion. I don't like that card that much. Spring Spirit Budding, normal trap. You can only activate this card once per turn. Target it face-up cards your opponent controls, up to the number of Earth monsters you control that were special summoned from the graveyard. Return that many Earth monsters you control to the hand. And if you do, return those targets to the hand. So these work well in tandem, like the combo, right? Special summon a bunch of these back after you discard them, use their effects. Then you can return them to your hand, and you can return your cards to your hand, which is great because they have those hand effects. But that requires 2 trap cards, right? And this isn't a thing that can happen. The turn it's sent to the graveyard. So you're talking about a turn 3 potential. Now you're gonna have obviously Spring Spirit monsters like on the field anyways. At at most 2 theoretically, because you're discarding 1, special summoning back, right? But that's maybe you're gonna do all that to bounce maybe 1 or 2, like at the best. In your first or second turn, and then turn 3 maybe you bring a bunch of them back, which theoretically is good. But like, do games really go that long anymore? Now maybe I'm missing the point. I'm not the best at judging new archetypes, but this one I think stinks. That's my first impression of the archetype. Let me know what you guys think about this deck in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.